Welcome. My name is Christopher Paisley. I'm a Philadelphia public school teacher. This is my YouTube channel, Inside White Fragility. Today, I'd like to talk about anti-racist curriculum, some red flags for parents to be aware of. Now, the truth of the matter is, anti-racism is not a one-size-fits-all movement. The devil is in the details, as they say, and how one school implements such a program may differ greatly from district to district and county to county. This video provides practical suggestions for keeping an eye on your school district's anti-racism curriculum and provides layman's definitions of words along with red flags to look for within the curriculum itself. As a rule, parents should keep an eye on such curriculum at two levels. The first is the district level, which includes official school board resolutions and school district approved material. And then the second level is actually the classroom level, the actual lessons and activities that your child is doing with his or her teachers and classmates right in the classroom. So you can keep an eye on both of those. So now, some quick definitions. Although each school district defines each word a bit differently, this is a generalized meaning of these words. First, anti-racism. Anti-racism is concerned with systems over individuals. Anti-racist educators such as Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi believe all racial disparities in the United States are the sole result of one thing, and that's racism. Racist systems and policies, both conscious and unconscious, are perpetuated by privileged whites who benefit from this knowingly and unknowingly. Anti-racists attempt to end such systems by calling out, confronting, and disrupting white privilege and so-called white supremacy culture. And what is white supremacy culture? White supremacy does not refer to an individual white person per se and their individual intentions, according to Robin DiAngelo, but to a political, economic, social system of domination. This system is based on the historical and current accumulation of structural power that privileges, centralizes, and elevates white people as a group. White supremacy is not hatred or white nationalism, but simply the fact that whites in America are the dominant culture, and that's what the leading anti-racist educators like Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi state in their books, definitions. So what is white privilege? The collective power, both conscious and unconscious, that whites have in society, which makes things easier for them and more difficult for people of color. So that's kind of the blanket term, white privilege, and all whites have it, whether they're poor or not, whether they know it or not. What is racism? Racism is more than race prejudice. Anyone across any race can have race prejudice, but racism is a macro-level social system that whites control and use to the advantage of whites as a group. Thus, all whites are collectively racist, according to Robin DiAngelo. So all whites are racist because as a system and as a whole, as a group, they all benefit from white privilege and white supremacy, so they're all racist by default, whether they're good people or bad people. Next, the term equity. Equity is not about equal opportunity, but about equal outcome, which is a very big difference. It's not concerned with a level playing field, but with level scores and level results. Under an anti-racist framework, equity is zero-sum, which is very important. One group must be disrupted or dismantled for another group to make gains. Next, we have something called anti-blackness. This is a white person's inherent hatred or marginalization of people of color. Anti-racist educators teach that all whites have inherent anti-blackness, whether conscious or unconscious. So if you're white, you suffer from anti-blackness, whether you know it or not. Which leads us to the overall critical race theory, okay, which is a term we hear a lot, but what is it? Critical race theory, in a nutshell, encompasses all of these ideas that systems must change for racial progress to be made, that white supremacy, white privilege, and anti-blackness must be disrupted, and that those who do not get on board are perpetuating racism and inequity by default, which is the old white silence is violence. So if you don't agree, or you challenge, or you have another perspective, or you have another way to bring about equality or racial justice, but you don't agree with critical race theory, then you, my friend, are a racist and a white supremacist. Okay? Again, these definitions may differ from one school district to another, but generally speaking, they are the meanings agreed upon by the leading anti-racist educators like Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi. So it's their definitions, not mine. Okay? So now you can keep a closer eye on what your child is learning at both the district and classroom level. If you hear this stuff, you'll know what is going on, at least a little bit better. And being that parents are very busy and there is so much new information being offered, I'm going to now offer some red flags to look for when keeping an eye on such information in your kid's school at the classroom and district level. If you see this at the district or classroom level, or you hear your child talk about it at home, you should investigate further, ask questions, and maybe even approach the school board for answers. First, any material related to Ibram X. Kendi, like the book How to Be an Anti-Racist Baby, this book is anti-racist, or Robin DiAngelo, like her book White Fragility, has no place in a K-12 school. These books are extremely polarizing, agenda-driven, and divide people into identity groups, judging them by the color of their skin and not the content of their character. These books violate federal anti-discrimination laws and should not be used in classrooms, and they should be met with extreme caution. Although DiAngelo and Kendi claim that they're continuing the legacy of the civil rights movement under Dr. King, it is totally not the case. They judge by identity. They do not judge by classic liberalism or the content of a person. So when you hear that, you now know that anti-racism does not, according to Kendi and DiAngelo in these books, continue the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King's civil rights movement. Okay? Any activity, lesson, or material that uses the phrase white privilege, white fragility, or white supremacy should be met with caution. These materials polarize and judge students by race and may violate federal anti-discrimination laws, so be aware of those phrases and how they're being used. Okay? Any activity, lesson, or material that uses the phrase anti-blackness or encourages a student to admit or to acknowledge their anti-blackness, which is happening in school districts, believe it or not, K-12 schools. So if you hear your child talking about anti-blackness or that you suffer from anti-blackness inherently because you're white, etc., please be aware of that. Question the school board, question the teacher. Any curriculum that focuses too heavily on identity, race, religion, gender, and sexuality, or has your children dissect or analyze their identity, or complete an identity map or identity wheel. There was a school that had students in third grade mapping their identities and deconstructing their identities, which was completely inappropriate. So this stuff is happening in schools. Okay? Any curriculum that targets whiteness, and it's happening all over the place, or asks students to disrupt or deconstruct whiteness, white privilege, or white supremacy, you should keep an eye on that. Such material is in violation of federal anti-discrimination laws. You can't judge kids by race. You can't do that. It's against the law. Next, any lesson or activity that is too heavily focused on race or identity, or that divides or polarizes students by race, splitting students into so-called affinity groups is a red flag. It's very similar to what I said before, because all this stuff polarizes kids and uses zero-sum philosophies. But believe it or not, in schools, kids are being separated into affinity groups, the whites over here, the students of color over here. You know, it's literal segregation in the 21st century, so be aware of affinity groups. It's against federal anti-discrimination laws. It's no good. It polarizes. It's not healing. It's not unifying, regardless of what the anti-racist educators will tell you. Finally, any use, mention, or inclusion of Black Lives Matter curriculum, which is extremely agenda-driven, polarizing, and based in politics. A good way to object to this is by exposing it as political indoctrination, the kind of political indoctrination parents oppose and most school districts deny exist. When you say to a school board, your teachers or your curriculum is indoctrinating kids with certain political agendas, they'll deny it. No, we're not doing that. But if you look closer, especially at BLM, they are doing it. They have a certain angle and certain agenda that you need to be aware of. BLM is a political organization with a PAC. You can look it up, and their agenda has no place in a school that claims to teach students how to think and not what to think. BLM, political indoctrination, teaching students what to think, not how to think, based in politics, no place in a school classroom. So that's anti-racist curriculum in a nutshell. Like I mentioned before, the devil is in the details, but now you have some hands-on knowledge of the definitions, theories, and a list of red flags to be aware of.